Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to see you all tonight. My name is Tom Peacock-Nazil, and I'm the founder of an ocean cleanup organization and sustainable consultancy called 7 Clean Seas. Now, I'm here today to talk to you about the plastic pollution problem that plagues our oceans. And really, we've got to dig down to what is plastic and why is it everywhere in our natural environment. And the reality is, it's an amazing material. As I stand here right now on this stage, it is absolutely everywhere, and it is genuinely made our lives better. It's ushered in an era of convenience that we've never seen before. It's making us live longer. It's helping us eat better and preserve food longer. And it's all thanks to hydrocarbons. And I know this sounds a little bit counterintuitive for me, but it is. And this particular hydrocarbon molecule is PET, one of the most common plastics we see. And as you can see on this grid of the different types of plastics, it's one of the 7 classifications. Now, these range from very useful to less useful, very recyclable to very unrecyclable, with a lot of other kind of properties, which I won't go into too much, but essentially the beauty of plastic is that it can be sterile, corrosion resistant, cheap, very cheap, strong, flexible, durable, waterproof. The list goes on and on and on and on. But it's not quite that simple, because a lot of plastics that we're using in daily life are not recyclable in many, many parts of the world. And that goes for here in Qatar as well. But I think it's fair to say, despite that little bit of editing, that given all of these amazing properties, plastic is a super material. So why am I stood here? Why is it a problem? And why is everyone so passionate about this? Well, really, this comes down to the fact that it's a lot more complex than first meets the eye. Now, first of all, I think we've got to be a little bit honest with ourselves. We are irresponsible users. We use plastic in so many different areas of our lives that it probably doesn't need to be there, and that's something that we could all make a personal change for quite quickly. But the reality is that the production companies are making 380 billion kilos of the stuff every single year. That's an unfathomable amount of plastic, and when we've got global recycling rates at around or below 15%, it's not going to end well. That has to go somewhere. And one thing we're seeing, particularly in Southeast Asia where our projects are, is that there is a big social impact and social injustice that goes hand in hand with plastics and recycling. Everyone immediately aligns it with environmental issues, but there are so many different social issues, from inequality to essentially slave labor, indentured labor, to child labor, to, honestly, the list goes on. I don't have much time, so I won't go into it, but the bottom line is that there are 2 billion people in this world without waste management. Now, of course, those people have plastic. If 2 billion people are using plastic every single day and they've got nowhere to put it, then plastic in the ocean, in the environment, and in our food chain is an inevitability, unfortunately. So, this inevitability leads me to one of my favorite pictures ever. There's a gentleman here who's a waste scavenger in the Philippines, wading through toxic sludge to try and find valuable recyclable materials to recycle, so that he can take them away and put food on the table for his son. And as you can see, he's leaving the vast majority of the plastic there because it has no residual value. It's got no recyclable value. It's degraded, it's unrecyclable by design, and it's just valueless. So we're in this situation where we're using this incredible material that's so cheap, but we're using it for everything, and we've got nothing to do with it at the end of its life cycle. And it's something that we fundamentally have to change. If that doesn't sway you, then bear in mind that the WWF report earlier this year concluded that every single human being in the world is averaging 5 grams of plastic per week ingestion. That means you're eating the same amount of plastic as is in a credit card every single week. And the jury is out on the health implications of this. They think it can lead from cancer, cardiovascular disease, to quite literally a decreased fertility rate in males, which is a serious problem if we think about it. And my favorite study, called Breaking the Plastic Wave. If you're interested, I'd take a read of this. But there is one bit of information here that says that today we emit 11 million metric tons of plastic into the ocean today. In 18 years, in 2040, that is going to almost triple to 29 million metric tons. We are on the precipice of damage that cannot be undone. And it's only just starting to get the attention that it genuinely deserves. Now, you can either be absolutely heartbroken and devastated by many of the climate issues, and the plastic issue is no different, but I want to encourage people to be absolutely amazed and inspired by some of the solutions that people all around the world are coming up with. And that's something I'd just like to touch on quickly, the work we're doing at 7 Clean Seas, my organization, we are an ocean cleanup organization. We're active in some of the world's worst polluted locations around Southeast Asia in particular, mainly because that's where a lot of the leakage is coming from. But when we started this, we realized that the world is not short of people that want to make an impact. That so many of us, everyone here, obviously cares about this. The issue is funding and scalability. So before we went and built projects, we realized we had to develop a mechanism that could generate capital at scale that we could then go and invest in river cleanup, ocean cleanup, beach cleanup, and actual waste management infrastructure in these areas that are most affected. Now, that funding mechanism has allowed us to recover a lot of plastic out the ocean so far, over 200,000 kilos, but this is just the beginning, and we are genuinely sitting on contracts to remove over 1 million kilos of plastic over the coming year. Now, we set ourselves some goals. Sorry, the editing's off again on this one. And that is to operate in the 7 worst plastic polluting countries, to remove 10 million kilos of plastic, and to do that whilst formalizing 200 informal waste workers. That means proper jobs, proper salaries, medical care, no indentured labor, treating them like humans, things that these people don't unfortunately get. And we're already active in Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam. And it really is just the beginning. We've got 2 real projects that are worth noting. The first is an innovative river cleanup system. The science tells us that 70% of ocean emissions are coming from river sources, so if you're going to invest in cleaning the oceans, start with the rivers. The second is a very different project. This is focusing on onshore cleanup. We gave 25 people jobs who lost their jobs because of COVID-19 in tourism to clean a marine protected area on a daily basis, and they've recovered over 100 tons of plastic on their own in the last year. And we're now scaling up with the help of Microsoft to actually supply the island with the island's first recycling infrastructure. They don't recycle anything at the moment, and there's 400,000 people on this island. So it's all about scaling up, stopping plastic leakage, removing plastic from the environment, and protecting the marine environment, as well as those coastal communities. Now, we interact with the world as an organization with one methodology, and that is we want to help companies, individuals, peoples, and events to measure their plastic footprint, to find ways to reduce the amount of plastic that they have to use in their daily lives and daily operations, and then what they cannot remove, we want to help them offset that. And I'll explain that in just a moment. On the measure and reduce side of things, this is where we're working on waste audits, plastic footprint analysis, plastic leakage analysis, reduction workshops. Like, how do we physically help people understand how much plastic they use and they generate and how much leaks into the environment, because no one has this data. We have to start with the data if we want to make an impact. Once we've got that data and we've put into plan robust reduction strategies, then we can look at plastic offsetting, whereby companies can invest in projects that physically clean the ocean and stop plastic getting into the ocean to help offset their plastic footprint. It's something that's gained a lot of traction recently. It's the reason I'm in Qatar at the moment, and the track record speaks for itself. Now, I'm just going to end and say, I am here as a guest in Qatar. We have won a very exciting opportunity to work with the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy to deliver the world's first plastic-neutral World Cup. And a big part of that contract is finding out how much plastic we're going to use in the first place and how we can reduce that. We need to have a truly holistic strategy in sustainability. And if you want to change the world, we need to have scalability too. So I just implore you all to look at your businesses, your activities, your hopes and dreams in sustainability, and try and find ways to scale it, because these problems are big, very big, and without scaled solutions, it might just not be there in time. Thank you very much for your time. My name's Tom Peacock-Nazil. I'm from 7 Clean Seas.